Well, students, in the last class, you learnt about double fertilization. Then you already know, in double fertilization, one of the male gamete fuses with the egg cell, resulting in the formation of diploid zygote. Then, the other male gamete fuses with the two polar nuclei located in the central cell, resulting in the formation of triploid primary endosperm nucleus. Then, after double fertilization, the central cell develops into primary endosperm cell, while the zygote develops into embryo. Then, after double fertilization, the synergids and the antipodals degenerate or disintegrate. Then this one is the structure of the fertilized embryo sac. Then this is the zygote located at the micropylar end. Then these two are the degenerating synergids. Then these are the degenerating antipodal cells. Next you are going to learn post-fertilization events. Then these are the events that occur after double fertilization. Then these include: one is the formation of endosperm. Then second one is the formation or development of embryo. Then third one is the formation of sheets. And the fourth one is the formation of fruits. Let's discuss all these one by one in detail. Then first is the formation of endosperm. Then you already know, that is after double fertilization, the central cell develops into primary endosperm cell. Then this primary endosperm cell repeatedly divides by mitosis, resulting in the formation of a nutritive structure called endosperm. Then point should be noted here that this endosperm is triploid in nature, that is contain 3 sets of chromosomes. For example, in maize, the chromosome number is 20 and the endosperm contains 30 chromosomes, that is one additional set of chromosomes. Then the cells of the endosperm contains abundant reserve food materials. Then these food materials are used for the nutrition of the developing embryo. Then based on the mode of development, there are 3 types of endosperm. Namely, one is the nuclear endosperm. Then second is the cellular endosperm. Then third one is the halobial endosperm. So let's discuss all these one by one in detail. So first is the nuclear endosperm. Then this type of endosperm is the most common type of endosperm found in the angiosperms. Then here the division of that is the endosperm nucleus repeatedly divides by mitosis, resulting in the formation of large number of nuclei but without immediate cell wall formation. Here the primary endosperm nucleus repeatedly divides by mitosis, resulting in the formation of large number of nuclei but without immediate cell wall formation, that is cellularization does not occur immediately. Then the number of nuclei greatly vary before cellularization. Then these nuclei are pushed towards the periphery due to the formation of a large vacuole in the center. The nuclei are pushed towards the periphery due to the formation of a large vacuole in the center. Later, cellularization begins from the periphery and extend towards the center. Later, cellularization or the cell wall formation begins from the periphery and extend towards the center. As a result of this, the endosperm becomes cellular. Then for instance, the coconut milk of the tender coconut is an example of the nuclear endosperm and the surrounding kernel is the cellular endosperm. Then next one is the cellular endosperm. Here, each division of the primary endosperm nucleus is followed by the cell wall formation. As a result of this, the endosperm is cellular right from the beginning. Then third one is the halobial endosperm. Then this type of endosperm is the intermediate endosperm between the nuclear endosperm and the cellular endosperm. Here, the division of the primary endosperm nucleus is followed by the cell wall formation. As a result of these, 2 cells are formed. Then further division of each cell resembles the nuclear endosperm. Then this halobial endosperm is found in certain monocots. Then the endosperm may be completely consumed by the developing embryo before sheet maturation. Well-known example is the pea, beans, groundnut and so on. Or this endosperm may persist in the sheet and may be used up during the sheet germination. Well-known example is the coconut, castor and so on. Next is the development or the formation of embryo. Then the embryo is formed at the micropylar end of the embryo sac where the zygote is located. Then point should be noted here that most of the zygotes divide only when certain amount of endosperm is formed. Then this is one of the important adaptation to provide assured nutrients for the developing embryo. Then the early stages of development of embryo is called embryogeny. Then this embryogeny is more or less similar in both dicotyledons and monocotyledons. Here point should be noted that the structures of the sheets of monocotyledons and the dicotyledons greatly vary, but the embryogeny is more or less similar. Then the sequential events involved in the formation of embryo or the development of embryo are as follows. Then the zygote divides by mitosis resulting in the formation of two cells, namely embryo cell and basal cell, otherwise also called suspensor cell. That is, the zygote divides by mitosis resulting in the formation of two cells, namely embryo cell and suspensor cell, otherwise also called basal cell. Then the embryo cell repeatedly divides by mitosis resulting in the formation of structure called proembryo. The embryo cell repeatedly divides by mitosis resulting in the formation of structure called proembryo. Then this proembryo further divides in various planes and passes through various stages or shapes such as globular shaped, heart shaped and finally develops into mature embryo. So that is the proembryo further divides and passes through various shapes such as globular shaped, heart shaped and finally develops into mature embryo. So the sequential events involved in the development of embryo are as follows. So the zygote first gives rise to proembryo. Then the proembryo becomes globular embryo. Then the globular embryo becomes heart-shaped embryo. The heart-shaped embryo finally develops into mature embryo. Then a mature embryo contains one or two cotyledons and embryonical axis. A mature embryo contains one or two cotyledons and an embryonical axis. Next you are going to learn formation of sheets. Then how to define the term sheets? Sheets are defined as fertilized ovules. Then these sheets are the final products of the fertilization or sexual reproduction and are present inside the fruits. Then a typical sheet is composed of one or two cotyledons, then sheet coat or sheet coats and an embryo. Then the cotyledons are the simple structures that are thick and swollen due to the presence or accumulation of reserve food materials. Then these food materials are used up during the sheet germination. Next you are going to learn types of sheets. Then based on the presence or absence of endosperm, sheets are broadly classified into two types. Namely, one is the non-albuminous sheets. One is the non-albuminous sheets and the second one is the albuminous sheets. Let's discuss both one by one in detail. Then what do you mean by non-albuminous sheets? That is the sheets that do not contain residual endosperm as it is completely consumed by the developing embryo are called non-albuminous sheets, otherwise also called non-endospermic sheets. That is, the endosperm is completely absent in these sheets. Well-known example is the groundnut, peas, beans and so on. Then what do you mean by albuminous sheets? that is the sheets that contain a part of endosperm as it is not completely consumed by the developing embryo are called albuminous sheets, otherwise also called endospermic sheets. That is, in these sheets a certain part of endosperm is present or small amount of endosperm is present. Well known example is the coconut, castor, maize and so on. Then you already know regarding the nucellus. Nucellus is the nutritive tissue of an ovule. Then in the majority of the sheets, nucellus is consumed by the developing embryo, but in certain sheets such as castor, pepper, then beet sugar and so on, nucellus also persists around the endosperm in the form of thin layer. Then such persistent nucellus is called perisperm. Such persistent nucellus is called perisperm. Then you already know regarding the integuments of an ovule, that is the outer integument and an inner integument. Then the integuments of an ovule develop into protective structures called sheet coats. Then the outer integument of an ovule develops into outer thick and hard sheet coat called testa. Outer thick and hard sheet coat called testa, while the inner integument develops into inner thin and papery sheet coat called tegmen. Inner thin and papery sheet coat called tegmen. And here point should be noted that is the integuments are composed of living cells, whereas in the sheet coats are composed of dead cells, and these dead cells are lignified. The dead cells are lignified. Then you already know regarding the micropyle of an ovule, that is the integuments enclose a small opening called micropyle. Then the micropyle of an ovule persists as a small pore in the sheet coat. Then this pore facilitates the entry of water and oxygen during the sheet germination. Then as the seed matures, water content greatly decreases and the seed becomes dry. Then the metabolic activity of an embryo decreases and the embryo enters into the state of inactivity called dormancy, or if the conditions are favorable, then the embryo germinates into new plant. That is, as the seed becomes mature, water content decreases and the seeds become dry. Then the metabolic activity of an embryo decreases or reduces and the embryo enters into the state of inactivity called dormancy, or if the conditions are favorable, then the embryo germinates into a new plant. That's all regarding the sheets. Next you are going to learn significance of sheets. Next you are going to learn significance of sheets or advantage of sheets. Then the sheets has certain advantages. Let's discuss the advantages or the significance of the sheets in detail. Number one, that is the sheets have special adaptation for the dispersal to the new habits and help the species or the plants to colonize in the other areas. Then you already know sheets are the products of the sexual reproduction and therefore they bring about genetic recombination and introduce variations in the offspring. That is, the sheets are the products of the sexual reproduction and hence they bring about genetic recombination and introduce variation in the offspring. Then the hard and thick sheet coats give protection to the young embryo present in the sheets. That is, the sheet coats are hard and thick and these sheet coats give protection to the embryo present in the sheet. Then the sheets have enough reserve food materials necessary for the nourishment of the seedling until they are capable of photosynthesizing of their own. That is, the sheets contain certain amount of reserve food materials. Then these food materials are enough for the nourishment of the seedling until they are capable of photosynthesizing of their own. Then the sheets are the basis of our agriculture. Then the dormancy and the maturation of the sheets is essential or crucial for the storage of sheets, which can be used as food throughout the year or can be used to raise crops in the next season. Next you are going to learn viability of sheets. Then what do you mean by viability of seeds? That is the ability of the seeds to germinate and produce seedlings over the period of time is called viability of seeds. That is the ability of the seeds to germinate and produce seedling over the period of time is called viability of seeds. Then this viability varies from species to species. Then seeds of certain plants remain viable only for few months, or seeds of certain plants lose viability within a few months. On the other hand, seeds of large number of plants can remain alive for many years. Then seeds of certain species can remain for hundreds of years. Then there are records of oldest viable seeds in the world. Then the oldest is that of lupine. The oldest is that of lupine, excavated from the Arctic tundra. Then this seed germinated and flowered after an estimated record of 10,000 years of dormancy. That is, the seed germinated and flowered after an estimated 10,000 years of dormancy. Then the recent has been the seed of date palm. The recent has been the seed of date palm discovered during archaeological excavation at Herod Palace near the Dead Sea. Then this seed germinated and flowered after 2000 years of dormancy. Next you are going to learn formation of fruits. Then as the ovules transform into seeds, ovary transform into fruits. Then therefore fruits are defined as fertilized or ripened ovary. Then the transformation of ovule into seed and ovary into fruit occurs simultaneously. Then you already know the wall of the fruit, wall of the ovary develops into the wall of the fruit called pericarp. That is, the wall of the ovary develops into the wall of the fruit called pericarp. Then this pericarp in certain fruits can be differentiated into three parts, namely epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp. Then the fruits may be fleshy or dry. Example for fleshy: lemon, guava, tomato, brinjal and so on. Examples for dry: mustard, sunflower and so on. Then in the majority of the plants such as watermelon, cucumber, brinjal and so on, fruits develop only from the ovary. Then such fruits are called true fruits. That is, true fruits are those which develop only from the ovary. Then in certain plants such as apple, cashew, strawberry and so on, fruits develop from the ovary along with the thalamus and other floral parts. Then such fruits are called false fruits. That is, false fruits are those which develop from the ovary along with the thalamus and other floral parts. Then in certain plants such as banana and certain cultivated varieties of grapes, fruits are produced without fertilization. Then such fruits are called parthenocarpic fruits. Then these parthenocarpic fruits are seedless. Then the parthenocarpic fruits can be induced by using plant hormones such as indolactic acid, indolbutyric acid, gibberellins. Next you are going to learn apomixis and polyembryony. Apomixis and polyembryony. Then you already know seeds are the final products of the sexual reproduction. That is, they are formed as a result of fertilization. But in certain angiosperms, seeds are produced without fertilization. That is, certain angiosperms have evolved mechanism to produce seeds without fertilization by the phenomenon called apomixis. Therefore, apomixis is a type of asexual reproduction that mimics the sexual reproduction in which seeds are produced without fertilization. That is, apomixis is a type of asexual reproduction that mimics the sexual reproduction in which seeds are produced without fertilization. Then the plants produced through the apomitic seeds are genetically identical to their parents. That is, genetic variations are not introduced in the plants produced through the apomitic seeds. Then the question obviously arises, how the apoptotic sheets are developed. Then there are various ways of developing apoptotic sheets. Then in certain plants, a diploid zygote, a diploid egg cell is formed without meiotic division. A diploid egg cell is formed without meiotic division. Then this egg cell develops into embryo without fertilization, and consequently ovule transform into seed. Then you already know regarding the structure of the ovule. You already know egg apparatus includes one egg cell and two synergids. Then in certain plants, egg cell is produced without meiotic division. As a result of this, egg cell is diploid, and this egg cell develops into embryo without fertilization, and consequently ovule transform into sheets. Then in certain plants such as citrus, lemon, mango and so on, the cells of nucellus surrounding the embryo sac, cells of the nucellus surrounding the embryo sac start division and protrude into the embryo sac. Then these cells develop into embryo. So the cells develop into embryo, that is without fertilization, and consequently ovule transform into seed. Then in such cases, each seed or one seed contains more than one embryo. Then this phenomenon is called polyembryony. That is, the phenomenon of occurrence of more than one embryo in a seed is called polyembryony.